be talking and discussing the importance of tea parties. As you know, there are a lot of tea parties happening all across the United States, and it's about time. And we're going to find out what really goes on at a tea party. So it's such a great thing, you know, to find out that finally we're having tea parties in America. But you know, all this time we thought it was happening in England. But let's find out what really goes on in a tea party. Tea parties! They're happening all over the United States, as I mentioned 2 seconds earlier. Now, one of the things we really need to think about today is, well, what really goes on at a tea party? You know, what really goes on? Well, I suppose, you know, we're going to have a cup of tea to really find out. And the first thing that we need to understand is, never ever use a tea bag. It's a horrible, horrible thing. That's why it's extremely important to use actual black tea. See? And who thought, you know, tea parties were just, you know, all about one color? I mean, you know, who thought, oh, you look at this is pure black tea. But anyway, so the first thing you need is a nice teapot similar to this. And you take about 1 nice heaping teaspoon of black tea and you toss it in here. And then the next thing you do is you boil some water in a kettle. In that way you bring it to the correct temperature. So you turn the cooker on as well. Now, one of the things we have to remember here is that, you know, some of these shops, like Starbucks and all these annoying, expensive shops, pretend to sell tea, but they're not really selling you tea because they're selling you an inferior product. They're selling you a tea bag, and they soak it in hot water, and then they're charging you $2 for it. I mean, one of the things we have to learn at these tea parties is that we should not be paying for overpriced tea. You know, I mean, it's bad enough that half the salary goes to taxes, but then to walk into a shop when you're feeling really thirsty and really craving, you know, that nice, delicious cup of tea, and all they have to give you is a lousy tea bag, you know what you tell them? You tell them, hey, I'm not going to buy from you anymore. I don't even need to come into your shop. And the reason I came into your shop is to take those sugars that are in packets, because I don't buy sugar. I keep coming every day and I take a handful. And eventually, I take it all home, and now I filled up my own jar of sugar. So I don't have to ever pay for sugar. So that's always a good thing to do, is never pay for your own sugar, especially from a shop that sells you crappy tea. Just use the Starbucks to go and get those nice sugar packets. So we're still waiting for the water to boil. And it's always nice to keep your ears open and just listen to the various noises your kettle might make, because it's all part of a very complicated process. I mean, boiling water, that is, if it's done correctly. Never use the microwave. So am I hearing the whistle? Am I hearing the whistle? Come on, whistle! There! Listen to it! Isn't it lovely? Is this whistle? It's just whistling! And this is the best temperature the water should be. The next step would be turning your kettle off. And now you do remember the teapot that we had prepared earlier. We simply pour the hot water into the teapot. And that's definitely a nice sound, isn't it? So we're going to wait here a few minutes. And during those few minutes, I suppose what they really do talk about at tea parties is not only how to make good tea, but also to perhaps say no when you feel you're getting ripped off. Ripped off meaning, you know, when half your salary goes to taxes. But the next interesting step, the next interesting public service announcement is a really terrible, terrible thing has happened in America. You see, you can't find a proper teacup anywhere. Do you know that? Do you know what a teacup is? See, this isn't a teacup. This is a coffee mug. And it's very important to drink tea out of a proper teacup, but they only sell those in England. They don't sell that in America. The reason they don't sell that in America is because nobody drinks tea. That's why I'm really hoping that now that we have these tea parties all over the United States, somebody starts selling these special teacups all over again. And one good thing about an actual teacup is its shape, and also it's made of bone China. In this way, it retains the perfect temperature. So as soon as you sip half your tea, the temperature is pretty much, is still quite high. That's interesting, isn't it? I hope you're paying attention. Let me go that over one more time. See, you have your tea that's up to this high. No, let me go over that again. You have your tea, and you're drinking your tea, and it's at a really good temperature. And when you reach half the cup, it's supposed to be at that same temperature that you initially started it. That's how you're able to retain the flavor of tea, and that's why it's important to drink it from a proper teacup made of bone china. So drinking it in a coffee mug is not really the perfect way to drink tea. So I'm really hoping the tea parties all across the United States understand this. And I hope somebody out there starts selling teacups again. So you pretty much let your tea brew for say 3 minutes. And that's generally the best way to make it brew. Then make sure you have a tea strainer. And when that's all done, you start straining your tea. And yes, it's real tea leaves in here, not inferior grade tea that's packaged into a bag. I mean, this tea is high quality tea. It's very good tea. So, you pretty much strain it and fill your cup up. Now you've got a cup of tea. And as I mentioned earlier, some people seem to think that tea parties are all just about one color, not cover. Color wouldn't make any sense. I mean, I color the pot. But tea parties are not always about one color. See, I put the black tea in here. But we need the white milk. See, I was going to get that white milk. I mean, without it, the tea's not going to taste too good. So you put some milk in here. Now you've got it at the perfect consistency. And now you can sit down and relax and have your cup of tea. Yes, you can. And the best part to all of this is, well, just be sure you don't spill it all over yourself, because that just would not be very good. But as you all know, this is merely a demonstration. This didn't really happen. I didn't just spill hot tea all over myself. But the lesson here, and the public service announcement, is that once you make your tea, as you've just learned in 2 minutes ago, is that you pretty much sit down and relax, and you turn on the TV, and you watch the TV show. And remember, folks, it's really important to make a good cup of tea, because you see, I'm really hoping that these tea parties across the United States will bring enlightenment to all, and will bring knowledge, and will make people understand that a true cup of tea can only be made when you're using real tea leaves. And in addition to that, feel free to take as many sugar packets as you can hold from all these coffee shops like Starbucks. Then you will never ever have to buy sugar again. So once again, this is Miss Poopee Doodee, once was the top reporter, reporting to Channel 666, the Eyewitness News, telling all of you that tea parties across America are happening.